For close to a decade, Abraham Owoseni has been molding minds and raising young people to live purposefully, building capacity in all spheres of life. He is a sought-after transformational speaker, high-impact educator, life skills expert, corporate trainer, life and career coach, veritable author, and youth development practitioner. The message you're about to hear will position you to live life to the fullest with actionable insights and strategies. Now, Abraham Owoseni.
On this session. So again, I want to say thank you everyone for joining in, and I'm glad to be here to do this. Now, I've been given this topic, opportunities in post-pandemic world. I'll walk us through around it, and a theme I've carved out from this topic. Uh, I've been in conversation with Mr. Fisayo, right, Adedoku, and we've been getting this conversation going to being here today. And again, I'm glad to be here, and I'm also sure that Mr. Kevin will also, be doing a great justice to this topic. But now let's get along. I've carved out this concise area I want us to focus on in this session. I captured it noiseless noise, right? How you can gain clarity in the midst of chaos, right? So the pandemic has brought somewhat of chaos, right? And but again, it's like an oxymoron. You can still be noiseless, right? Even in the midst of noise, right? So that is what I want us to walk through together on uh, today, right? Now, Abraham is my name. I know my profile has been read earlier on, but if I have to say a brief about myself, my mission is to raise young people and to mold minds, right? It's because of my mission that I'm here with you, on this session this evening. And as a result of my mission, I'm passionate about youth development, life skills education, and human development, right? Um, if you're using a mobile device as we get along in this session, I'm going to advise you put on the auto rotate so that you can see my full screen and get along on this session, and you have it in the landscape mode. At this point, I want to also advise that try to tone down any form of distraction to get the best value from this session. Then you must be able to turn down the distraction around you, whether it's a mobile device, a TV set, whatever is a distraction, right? Own this learning, right? Make the best of these few moments we will share, and you'll be glad you did, right? Um, I'm going to be speaking using a blend of life coaching, life skills training, and a blend of spirituality as I get along in this session, right? Um, Again, I'm speaking on what I've captioned from the overriding theme, noiseless noise. How you can gain clarity in the midst of chaos, right? And the goal of this session is simple. If there's one thing I want us to achieve together after this session is done, it's simple. It's this one thing, that you can be able to grow in the right knowledge, the right skills, and the right attitude required for self identity and the essence of your being. And what that would do for you is that it will help you to grow in clarity and direction, even in a post-pandemic world, right? What's the kind of knowledge you need to grow in your identity of yourself, right? And in the identity of your essence. Those are the two key parameters, in this session: growing in the identity of yourself and in the identity of your essence, and that will help you to really thrive even in a post-pandemic world, right? So, to begin, really, I need to say this: skills are good, right? Skills are good. There are lots of blends of skills. Some call it soft skills, some say hard skills, but I've just coined skills into two main categories, right? I call one the hand skill, and I call the other one the art skill. So the hand skills are the physical skills you exert, in doing an operation, in carrying out a particular task, right? So if you are good in driving, that's a physical hand skill. Or you're good, in design, in maybe in fashion, or you're good in, name it. There are lots of physical skills across the value chain of various fields of endeavor. So that's one blend of skill. We call it hand skill. There's another blend of skill I call art skill, right? So art skills are the blend of skills that help you to make the best even with the hand skill. Most times they are non-physical. You can't see them, right? So you talk about communication skill, you talk about critical thinking skill, you talk about teamwork and collaboration. But again, it is the blend of these two set of skills that helps you as a professional in whatever part of the value chain you are playing in. So I'm saying this as a takeoff as we get in this session. The skills are good, right? I'm sure you agree with me. Skills are good, but it is not always about skills, right? So as good as skills could be, it's not always about skills, especially physical skills. It's not always about physical skills, right? Perhaps maybe as we get along in this session, you might be expecting me to say things about, oh, these are the skills to get on in the post-COVID world. Oh, these are the opportunities. Dive into these, learn digital skills, learn this and that. I mean, those are good, like I said. But guess what? It's not always about skill. I'm going to show you what more beyond just that. What more beyond that, right? So there's something about ignorance, and it's the pitfall of ignorance is when it gets to the height of arrogance. Let me say that again. The pitfall of ignorance is when it gets to the height of arrogance. Ignorance is not bad in itself, although it is bad, but it gets to a pitfall when it reaches the apex of arrogance. And what am I saying about this? There are about four levels of knowledge, and the first level of knowledge is where we call it unconscious incompetence. So, before I learned how to drive, I needed to be conscious that I didn't know how to drive to learn how to drive, right? So, the first level of knowledge is unconscious incompetence. So you don't know that you don't know. That's the first level, and that is not bad. Again, that's why I said ignorance in itself is not bad. Every one of us at every one point in the order of time, we have always been there, right? So someone showed you that, oh, do you know your mobile phone can do this? And then you say, wow, I never knew. So all the while before that day, you were in a state we call unconscious incompetence. You never knew, you didn't know, right? But again, we get to the next level of knowledge, which is what we call conscious incompetence, right? At that point, you're now conscious that you do not know, and that's a beautiful thing, right? That's where learning can actually start. So you go to someone and say, please, can you show me how do I do this? That's amazing, right? If you can be humble to get to that level of knowledge, then you are on a great pedestal of success, right? But again, we get to a third level of knowledge, which is a level where you get to where you are already, conscious of your competence. So we call it conscious competence, right? You're conscious of the things you're good at, right? So you're conscious that you can drive, you're conscious that you can speak, you're conscious that you can negotiate, you're conscious that you can sell. I mean, a whole lot of skills around that, right? But we get to the fourth level. The fourth level is amazing. It's the level where you are on a journey to lifelong learning, and you get to a point that you are unconscious about your competence, right? And I always give this illustration to explain that. And so again, using driving as an example. So driving today, so when I drive today, I don't need to look at a book to say when you get to a junction, put on your trafficator light, or you know you know step on the brake. I don't need to look at a book to tell me that. So what happened is that my knowledge grew from conscious incompetence to conscious competence, and now to unconscious competence, right? So I'm so good at it that I don't even know that I'm that good, right? I mean, and that's the beauty. But guess what? As beautiful as that level is, that level starts from the level where you recognize that I do not know. Conscious incompetence. If you are always willing across the journey of life to come to that level where you are conscious of your incompetence, then that's the level of success. That's the level of where learning can actually start from, right? So I've said all of this to explain that never get to a point where you are arrogant of your ignorance. It's a pitfall, right? It looks like the apex, but it's a pitfall. Never get to that level. Always be humble enough to learn, irrespective of who you are learning from, where you are learning from. I mean, this is an amazing platform we are learning from, and we're learning together. There is something you can learn from this session. Never get into that web of arrogance from ignorance, right? Now, I mean, look at this beautiful plane. I mean, this is a big plane, right? This is one of the major inventions that has shaped the universe, right? And as beautiful, as big as this plane is, right? A plane makes so much noise, right? So when you're on board a plane and you're about taking off in the air, and then the plane gets to the runway and all of that. I mean, it's the plane gets to that runway and gets to prepare for takeoff. And at that point, the plane makes so much noise, right? But guess what? Beyond the noise that the plane makes, I want you to follow through with me. Beyond the noise that the plane makes, the plane generates enough capacity to leave the ground, right? So the pandemic might have brought a whole lot of noise, and that's the noise going all around town. But you need to get to a new level where you turn that noise to a noiseless noise, right? And that's what happens in a plane. Although the pilot tells you, please put on your seatbelt, we're about to take off. And once they take off in the air, the big noise at the takeoff reduces to a point of clarity, reduces to a point of of flow, of momentum. And then within the cabin, they start to serve some meals, and then you begin to engage and do all of that. Now what happened is that although the plane took off with a whole lot of noise, the plane had enough capacity to come off that noise to a point of clarity. And so, although we are in a noiseless environment, or I mean, in an environment full of noise, rather, although we are in an environment full of noise, you can actually grow your own noiselessness, right? And you get to a point where you grow in clarity, even in the midst of chaos. And that's what happens, with an aeroplane. And you may be asking, why is this so? And how did this happen? I'm going to show you, and I want you to follow through with me, right? It's simple, it's concise, but I don't want you to miss the point, right? So how is a plane able to generate so much capacity to leave the ground, even with the noise it also, makes at the outset? It's simple. There is a force at work, right? But the fortunate part of this is that not many people know that there's a force at work. I mean, nothing happens by chance. Nothing happens by chance in this world. Nothing happens by chance. So before you got on this call, you determined, right? And then you had the free will to choose if to come in or not, right? It's a free will, right? And so nobody coerced you, into this session. And then you engage the force. Perhaps you were sitting before somewhere, or you were outside talking with someone, and then you engage the force. You left where you were, you came onto the session, you logged into this session, and you're alive here. It never happened by chance. If someone told you, oh, I just accidentally stumbled in that session, maybe not. Maybe there's a degree to that, but nothing ever happens by chance. You took intention, you took a whole lot of purpose to get into this. There is always a force at work, right? And now this force is simple. Science tells us that a force is either a push or a pull, right? And the push and pull gives an interaction around an object. Now, this is where I want us to look at. The question I want to ask you today is that are you being pushed or you are being pulled? Right? Are you being pushed or you are being pulled? One must win. One must win, right? And so you are either being pulled or being pushed. You are not yet, there is no in between. You are either pulled or you are being pushed. So in a pandemic world, I mean, with all lot of the noise around, you make your choice. You are either pulled or being pushed. You remember, there is always a force at work, right? So the plane decides to push through the noise and get to a point of noiselessness, right? What's your own choice? What's your own choice, right? And so to get to this point of clarity, clarity in the midst of chaos, right? With all of the noise, to get to this point of clarity, how do you go about this? And I want to show you something amazing. It's going to blow your mind. Yes, we're in a pandemic world, but what's your own world? That's the food for thought. Yes, we're in a pandemic world, but what is your own world, right? So, amidst all of the noise, what is your own world? What's your own world, right? What's your own world? That's a major question I want you to go to bed tonight to sleep and think about. What is my own world, right? In our youth organization, I'm privileged to found a youth organization called Young Breeze, and our vision statement is simple. We said we want to see a world where there's a critical mass of young people who are well bred and holistically developed. That's a vision. It's a world we want to see. What is your own world? What is your own word? Follow through with me. So there is this grand force I want you to introduce you to. This grand force is actually what controls um, either you are being pulled or being pushed. This grand force is what controls it. This is amazing, right? I've been opportunity to help a number of young adults, grow in clarity and build harmony in their careers, in their relationships, and in their lifestyle using my unique SAC method. Now, in my unique SAC method, there's the first part of my method. I'm going to be revealing it right now to you. This is this grand force. Are you interested? If you want me to go ahead, please let me know in the chat box. Let me know. Tell me, go ahead. Say yes. Let me know. Just give me a feedback. Let me know if you want me to unveil this grand force to you. This is amazing. This is amazing. If you want me to unveil this grand force to you, let me know. Right? Let me know. Awesome. Let's keep it coming. Let me know. Awesome. Now, let me show you this. Thank you so much. I can see a number of persons pointing in. Now, let me show you this ground force. This ground force is what determines if you are being pushed or being pulled or going with the tide or whichever the case may be. Right? This ground force is the full essence of your living. This ground force is the full essence of your being beyond the five senses. Right? So, because of our creation as humans, we have our five senses. You can smell, you can touch, you can name all of those things. You can see and feel and all that stuff. But beyond your five senses, have you discovered your essence beyond your sense? As I always say, have you discovered your essence of living beyond your senses? That's the ground force. That's the ground force. The ground force is the essence of your living beyond your senses. I mean, billions of people on the earth today, right? But billions of people are using their senses, but very few are fulfilling their essence of living. And so the ground force that pulls you out from the noise, the environment full of noise, and brings you to the point of noiselessness is the full essence of your living, the full essence of your being. And I'm going to show you how this really works. Follow through with me, and once I'm done with this, I'm out, right? I remember I was in the university when I got a clarity about this. Nobody ever taught me about this. I was just walking to a class. I was in my fourth year, just about to get out of the university. A friend of mine, we were walking down to a class, and he asked me this question. Just like I'm asking you, what's the essence of your being beyond your senses? But he didn't ask it in that format. He just said to me, Abraham, is there more to your life than this? I started at first, because nobody had asked me that question before that time. The question is, what do you mean, the essence of my being? I was really concerned. I had no answer to his question. And then I went back to my dormitory that day. I was thinking about it. What is there more to my life than this? What I was thinking about was what I just asked you. What is the essence of my being beyond just using my senses? Everybody can use their sense. Everybody. But what differentiates me from every other person using their senses? That's my essence. Your essence is what differentiates you from every other person using their senses. And the clarity I got. So what I did was, I may not be able to tell you all of that story because of time, but I took out a time, in that particular year, several years ago, to think about my life, right? I was thinking about, I'm going to ask you some questions when I close this session, some questions that could get you started to think about your essence of being. But let me get on quickly. I've said all that I've said to say this, that your mindset is what influences your skill set, right? Your mindset is what influences your skill set. You can have all of the amazing skills, but how you use them, your skills are relative in themselves, right? You can know how to sing, how to bake, how to sew, and any other skill you can have. What differentiates you from every other person who has that skill is your mindset. And so I walked us through that foundation to help us understand that the use of your skill is not just about the skill in itself, as good as the skill is, but it's about the mindset behind the skill, right? I mean, this is amazing. I want us to get along with this. If once we get out of time, please get back, log on to this, and we'll get completed on this session, right? Now, I want to show you the nexus as I begin to get wound this up. What is the nexus behind your skill and your essence of being? What's the nexus? What's the connection between your skill and your essence of being? I call it purposeful skills, right? Now, so again, let's go back to the airplane. The airplane, as big as it is, still needs fuel to propel its motion, right? So they call it aviation fuel. So it still needs fuel to propel its motion. As big as it is, right? I mean, it could take that momentum into the air, break through all of the force, and it gets into the air. But as fantastic as that is, it gets to a point along the journey that it needs a refilling, right? So what happens? I'm going to show you what happens. Knowledge eats that fuel. Knowledge is that few. I mean, and you see, the beauty about knowledge is that knowledge itself is that force we're talking about. I mean, I've shown you the ground force, that's the main force, but knowledge in itself is also a form of a force. But the force of knowledge is such that it fuels, permit me to use that word, it fuels a person already in motion. Knowledge is good. I mean, you can, today, we live in a world where knowledge has been democratized, right? There's you can learn anything you want today, right? But that's not the problem. The problem is, how many people have you found your essence of being? Are you refilling yourself on your journey? Let me show you this to get it clear. What happens is that knowledge is a resource, right? Just like I had to refill my fuel tank some days ago, right? So if I can't, the fuel I buy today can't take me for the entire and for an entire journey, as depending on how far that journey is, gets to a point whereby I always need to refill the tank, right? And so knowledge is such that it can actually be exhausted. And so skilling up, the concept of skilling up is coming from the vantage point that although I want to be relevant, whether in a pandemic world or in a post-pandemic world or whenever. Yes, I want to be relevant, but I need to know that knowledge can be exhausted. It can literally be exhausted, just like the tank in a water tank. You can literally exhaust the water in that tank. So what do? You repump the water into the tank to ensure that you keep having water in the building, right? So that's where the concept of upskilling and lifelong learning comes into the picture. But again, it's not just about skilling up for the purpose of skilling up or for the sake of skilling up. You are skilling up to keep you in motion, right? So this is the alert. I mean, and this is the crux of it. This is the alert of it, right? I mean, someone's talking about bank alert. Don't worry, that's going to come in as well, right? So here is the alert. Your sense of purpose sets you in motion, right? While knowledge keeps you in motion. So I showed you the ground force a while ago. That ground force is the essence of your being. That's the sense of your living. Why are you on earth? I shared with you earlier that my sense of being is to raise young people and to mold mine. That's the essence of my being. That's the world I see. I see a world where young people are well bred and they are holistically developed. That's the world I see. And so the knowledge I get, the knowledge I build myself in, the skills I build myself in every single day, whether in a pandemic world or whenever, are with the target purpose of keeping me in motion. I'm already in motion. My sense of being has set me in motion, right? Get that very, very well. My sense of being has set me in motion. I'm already in motion. But knowledge is what keeps me in that motion. And so that knowledge comes in form of upskilling into skills, whether in any of the two categories I mentioned, and skills, art skills, and then you keep growing in clarity. This is amazing. I mean, if you have found value from this so far, please let me know in the chat box. This is amazing. I mean, I could close here and I'm done today. This is amazing. Wow. This is amazing. This is amazing. This is amazing, right? Thank you. Thank you so much. This is amazing. Now, I'm just going to close with this. Let me see if I can close before we're out of this time, right? Now, there you see, to help you understand this perfectly, as a person, you are, I mean, me, nobody told me all of this even while in college, as much as the knowledge I thrived at getting. But I'm glad you're on this session, right? So here is the point. So you are a person, I mean, different people connected on this session. But there is something I want you to understand about your makeup, right? You're a tripartite being. I mean, the one we can see is your body. You can see my body, you can see my face, but there is something you can't see. You can't see my soul. You can't see my spirit. Let me understand it very well. Your body listens. Your body listens. I mean, earlier today, I just said to myself, I just thought about it. It was just a thought. I just said, oh, I want to go to the restroom. Guess what? I mean, before I thought about that, I was not feeling any need to go to the restroom. But I just thought about it. Okay, let me just go to the restroom. Guess what? Immediately the thoughts in my mind were triggered. Immediately I triggered that thought that I want to go to the restroom. Guess what happened? My body listened to it. And guess what? Suddenly my bladder became full. And then I was literally pressed. How many of you have experienced that before? This is amazing. It suddenly became full. It was not full before. Your body listens, right? I'm saying this to explain this. It could even be that you just say to yourself, you just have a thought, oh, I think I would like to eat. And suddenly your body hears that and says, and suddenly you find that all of your esophagus, your saliva, everything, once you sense a meal, you're already salivating because your body listens to your thoughts, right? I'm saying this to help you understand that in a post-pandemic world, the reaction and the response of your body is not about your body in itself. Your body cannot do anything in itself. Your body only listens. Your body listens. Your body listens to your soul. Your soul in itself also cannot do anything in its own. Your soul listens to your spirit. Wow. This is amazing. Your body listens to your soul, your thoughts, what goes on in your mind. Your soul in turn also listens to your spirit, right? I mean, so I summarized this and I said, your soul, your body is your outward being, what everybody can see, right? Your soul is your inner being. I can't see that one, but guess what? Your spirit is your real being, right? And so to close this session, I just have a minute left. To close this session, there's a connection between response and reaction. So many people in a post-pandemic world are simply reacting. Oh, what should I do? Oh, people are losing their jobs. Oh, this and that. That's just reaction. So with reaction, you don't need to think to react. Someone steps on you and you just immediately yell out, "Can't you see? Are you blind?" That's reaction. You don't need a degree to react. You don't need a certificate to react. Every human being can react. But I wanted to go with the former one, which is to respond. Respond comes with thinking, right? Respond comes with thinking, right? I mean, and this is amazing. I just want to come back and I'll just use 5 minutes, to wrap this up, right? Over to the host. I was showing about the difference between response and reaction. In a number of persons typically react. I mean, and you don't need any special degree to react, right? But response takes, sometimes you're speaking to someone and says, I mean, and he just goes quiet and says, I mean, and you're expecting the person to reply quickly, and the person says, I'm thinking, let me think about it. I mean, that's the response. Response engages thinking, right? And so, but of course, it has to be again with intention. I mean, a lot of people, the mob, every other person is engaged in reaction, right? So, I mean, and that's why social media is thriving today, because we have a pool of people who are simply reacting, right? So, but a few people are responding. A few people are actually leveraging on that platform, to upskill. A few persons are leveraging on that platform to grow. I just followed someone today on one of my social media platform. Felt this is not the value I want in my growth. I mean, so you need to be as intentional as that in every single thing, right? So I'm going to recommend that engage more with response than reacting, right? I mean, and guess what, friends? You don't have to always react about things. You don't have to always say something about everything. I mean, if the president of US is positive with COVID-19, Yes, it's unfortunate. I'm well sure that it's getting appropriate health care, but you don't have to react, right? Or some entertainment shows are going on. We don't need your reaction. You go in, do more of introspection, right? Engage critical thinking and focus on your motion, right? Fueling yourself with the knowledge you need to remain in motion. That should be the focus of your energy at this time and even all the time, right? And so I'm going to end by recommending two critical skills that I wanted to start with. Just start with these two, right? I mean, as good as the ant skills are, start with this one. Build harmony. What do I mean by harmony? Like I shared, you are a tripartite being, right? I know I shared an introduction to it, but it may still look a bit vague to you, right? How your body listens to your soul, and your soul in turn listens to your spirit. And so, what do? You are not different. I mean, you're still you. You're not three people in one. You're still you. What you need is harmony. Harmony, of those three tripartite entities, right? And with that harmony, guess what? It can reflect in your career. I call it career harmony. With that harmony, it can reflect in your relationship. I call it relationship harmony. And with that same harmony, it can reflect in your lifestyle. I call it lifestyle harmony. So that's what I mean by building harmony skills. I mean, I have a whole lot of you know uh, resources, both premium and freemium resources. You can engage with that. But here is the second part. The second part is the most interesting part. Engage critical thinking skills, right? Engage critical thinking skills. So um, again, that becomes apt because we are in a generation where many people are reacting and few are responding. Like I said earlier on, you engage critical thinking skills. I mean, and just always, like I always said, I was speaking with a friend the other day. Always ask why behind every single action before your reaction. Always ask yourself why behind every action. And so a friend calls you and says, let's go to this place. Ask yourself within why. Someone says, oh, let's go, let's do this. You say, why? Always ask yourself why. Critical thinking is a big 21st century skill that you need to thrive even in a post-COVID world, in a post-pandemic world, and every other time, right? Now, so those are my two recommendations, right? And here are the questions I said I was going to leave you with. I want you to think on them, write them down, make your notes of your responses. I'm sure this will get you on, right? The first thing is I want to ask yourself, where am I now? Where am I now, right? With all of the noise around, ask yourself, where am I now? You need to know where you are now before you can gain motion even in a post-pandemic world. Where am I now? I mean, and this is not just about geography alone in itself. It's about your essence, like I shared. It's about your essence. Have you actually found your essence of being? What have I been doing? Where am I now? You graduate to the second question. What have I been doing? I mean, there were 6 months, 5 months, 4 months, 3 months of lockdown, as the case may be, depending on where you live. What have I been doing? Right? I mean, and even after that, what have I been doing? Right? You graduate to the next question I'm asking you, which I want you to note down. Now, this is a critical one. Where am I going to? Where am I going? Where am I going? Right? You see, the beauty of it is that your essence of being gives you a destination in view. And like I always say, you never see a driver going somewhere and he never knows where he's going to. You ask him where you driving to, say, I don't know, I'm just driving. It's fun. Nobody does that. There's a destination in view. Where are you going to? Remember, I shared the other time, yes, it's a post-pandemic world, but what is your own world? And the fourth thing is that, am I on the path leading me there? It's beautiful to know where you're going to, but are you on the path leading you there? Right? I wanted to close with this fifth one, asking yourself, when will I get on the path? Perhaps if you're not on the path, when will I get on the path? Here is the sixth one. What limitations are hindering me, on getting on that path? What limitations are hindering me? These are life coaching questions that I wanted to think about. The answers are within you. I'm just pulling them out from within, but it will require your thinking, right? It will require your thinking. And the last one is, why am I going there? I mean, this captures this is like a cap for all of the other questions. So why am I even going there? Why am I going there? I mean, justify every action, justify every response, justify every behavior. This has been amazing, and I just want to say thank you for your time and attention. If you have really found value in this, I have a resource I'm going to give to you that will help you get started on building harmony. It's a free resource I'm going to give to you. You get that, once you drop your feedback for me after this session, once you click submit, just follow this link, abrahamowoseni.com/feedback. Once you drop your feedback from this session, you see the link to download that once you submit. It's just straight away, and then you'll be able to get that resource. I wanted to read it fully. If you have further questions, feel free to shoot me a mail, and it will be my pleasure to take you on. Right. So I want to say thank you. You could get more resources. If you about, I've done a whole lot of sessions about several hand skills, whether it's on presentation, inside career, whether it's on life skills, whatever kind of life skills. I've done several sessions, and you can actually find them free on YouTube. Just search for my name, Abraham Owoseni, and you'll be able to watch and glean from them. Right. So I want to say thank you as we open the floor for questions. Thank you, Mr. Casely, and thank you, host. Thank you, leaders, for it's been my pleasure.
You have gained insights and strategies to live life purposefully. Now is the time to take actions in the direction of your learnings. For more products, bookings, and inquiries, please visit www.abrahamowoseni.com.